Good evening. Hello. This is Dallas Cohen, the rebound coach, and happy Tuesday. Happy November 2nd. If you can believe it, the year has passed us almost all the way gone. And this is a good time for a lot of self reflection. This is a time where we all kind of slow down, as crazy as it sounds, slow down and kind of think about holidays and do family get-togethers and it's a time to kind of take inventory. I always take an inventory this time of year. It's my October is my birthday month, and so I kind of take an inventory of where am I at and what should I be doing and how have I done this past year and what do I want to do in the next year. And I want to talk about some of those things today. So if you are just seeing this for the first time, if it's you've never been on one of my lives before and you're like, who is this Dallas Cohen person? What exactly is a rebound coach? And why are we here? What is this? It's just popped up in my newsfeed. So again, my name is Dallas Cohen, the rebound coach, and I want to tell you a little bit background about myself. I grew up in a great family, a good home with parents that loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime. And I had a great example of what marriage is and could be. At the same time, I was molested from age 8 to age 16. And that radically changes how you see yourself in those formative years, how I saw God in a household of faith, and then how I related to men. So fast forward, when I met the man that I married, there were definite red flags going on, definite signs of trouble. But there were two main reasons why I said yes. Number one, I felt like God was with us. I'm a praying woman. I was at that time as well. And because I believed God was with us, I believed that no matter what trouble would come, we'd be able to withstand it. We'd be able to outlast the trouble. Well, trouble came right away and never quite went away. We got into this cycle I would call coping in crisis, where we were just kind of doing all right, and then something would blow up, and then we'd do all right again, and then something would blow up. Well, as the years went on, the crises got worse and worse. And it all kind of came to a head in January of 2020, where the man I had been married to for over 9 years, almost 10 years at that point, left for another woman. And I found out the next day that him and that woman had been plotting my murder for months. And it was kind of a record scratch moment, if you will. Everything kind of comes to a head and you do some heavy reevaluating of your life. And even before then, just making decisions to be safe and survive. And I had a choice in that time. I could allow the identity that my husband had planned for me, the death he had planned for me, to tell me who I was, to tell me what I could have, to tell me what my future was going to hold, or I could choose life. So I've written a book. I've actually written two books, but this book that I wrote out of this entire scenario of my life is called I Choose Life. You can see it over there. It's called I Choose Life, Rewrite Your Love Story and Change Your Legacy. And it's exactly that. It is not just my story. And if you like thrillers, it reads like a thriller. But not just my story and how the divine set of events unfolded that allowed us to have this conversation today, but also giving you the roadmap that you can choose life for yourself. There are so many areas where we have chosen death, and that we have our own cycle of coping and crisis. And whether that is in self-care, whether that is in our relationship with our God or higher power, of our relationship with ourselves, a mate, a relationship with our children, our relationship with money or work or health, or dreams, all of which we can get into this cycle of I'm barely making it. And then because I have not maintained, there's a crisis that can happen anywhere. And so it's really important to be intentional with our lives. The days are going to keep passing. As long as the earth remains, there's seed time and harvest. There's 4 seasons. The days are going to be the days, right? They're going to pass. If we're going to have life in our days, life in our years, that's not by accident. It doesn't happen because we sit around and watch television, right? Or barely make it or go through the motions. There's purpose we can have. That there's purpose we can have, but it's not an accident. It doesn't come just because. And so we're here today, and I'm here every week to give you some inspiration, to give you some strategy, to give you some hope, and to let you know that you're not alone. For those of you that want more out of life than what the daily go along with the motions would provide for you, that's what we're here for. And so today, last month we did a series on domestic violence, not just for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but of course that happened to me and happens to many, many, many people. I am a relationship coach. I'm a life coach, and I serve in 2 ways. I am a vision implementation strategist for heart-centered entrepreneurs and nonprofits. So you have a vision, but you're not quite sure how to get it done. I come alongside and provide that strategy. And the other is I serve high achieving women who have lived through betrayal, trauma, or abuse and want to reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. They've endured all these things they've endured. They've survived, which is a miracle all by itself. But once you have survived, your life isn't over, and autopilot will only keep you in cycle. There's victory to be won. And so I help women reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. That changes not only their life experience, but those of their children or the people watching them close by and generations to come. And so that's what we're doing. That's the big mission. That's the big picture. And so this month, we're doing a series called Family Matters. So this is November. People do family gatherings right now, whether that's in person or virtual or some mix thereof. The times are wild, and so things are different and definitely not traditional. And sometimes, even traditionally, this is a season where people fight depression and suicide because things are not as they were. It is the nature of life to change and evolve. It is the nature of life. And whether we are running from a negative past or we are trying to hold on to a positive one, the only guarantee that we have in life is change. And change is just a part of it. And so facing those changes is something that should be done intentionally. And so I want to share just a few thoughts with you today around that. So I was thinking about what to do for today, what's our theme for the month should be. And hi, Jamie, good to see you. What our theme for the month should be and kind of where we're doing. So Family Matters is our theme for the month. And I thought about where to start. How do we navigate some of those family relationships that are unpleasant? And even for the ones that are good, how do we maintain them and make them even better, right? And it starts with us. It always starts with us. It always starts with us. And so I thought I was on a Zoom call, and someone was asking someone else who'd been married 38 years. And this person asking was not married. And she says, well, tell me what the secret is, to a good marriage. And I'm just an observer at this point in this conversation. And the person who had been married for 38 years is clearly unhappy. Clearly. Not saying those words, but if anyone pays just a little bit of attention, they can see that this person is not happy in their marriage. And so she was starting to give advice to this unmarried person, and I'm just watching. I have no dog in the fight, just watching. And I was asked later on, hey, do you have any books that you can recommend? What do you think about this? And I said, well, I have my first book which is called Goodbye or Go Through: How to Live Happily Ever After When Life is No Fairy Tale. I wrote that and I explained to her, hey, this was my entire platform for years. I had been coaching in the family and relationship space for years when my own marriage collapsed. So you can imagine building your entire identity around a particular idea and ideal, and having that collapse on you. However, people are still getting great benefit out of that book. So just if you are preparing for a marriage, or you are looking for ways to stay married, even if your relationship is difficult, you can find that book at thereboundcoach.com/book. It's underneath the I Choose Life information, but it's also on Amazon, and you can find that link there. And that book is called Goodbye or Go Through: How to Live Happily Ever After When Life is No Fairy Tale. So I was telling her about that, and and I said, I have to be honest with you. I'm allowing my paradigm to change, is what I said to her. And I'm allowing it to be whatever it needs to be. But here's what if I could share anything with you, if you'd listen to this divorced woman, I'd love to share this information with you, just to say that you can do everything right, and it doesn't guarantee that your marriage is going to work out a certain way. And I explained to her, I believed when I was in her place before I was married, I believed that if I married the man God said for me to marry, if I was a good wife, if I didn't complain, if I respected him, and if I gave him sex when he wanted it, and if I did all the stuff I was supposed to do, that I'd have a faithful man, or that my unfaithful man would become faithful, or that my man that wasn't providing would one day provide or one day lead. So what I found is that wasn't true. Just not because I was a perfect wife, far from perfect. But the general tenets of obedience and the good principles that a wife should have, I do believe I carried those out. That didn't guarantee anything. And so what I shared with this young woman was that, hey, you can prepare because you should. Prepare because that matters to you. It's important for you to put your best foot forward and to study this and to make the best out of it. Like that is important to you as your core value. And you should always pursue your core values. That's not the same as saying, if I check all the marks off the box, if I do all my check boxes, I'm going to have a good marriage. That's just not a guarantee. Are you setting yourself up for success by preparation? Yes. And then what goes into preparation is a whole different conversation. It's not what we're going to get into today. But I admonished her for that, and she heard it, she received it. But that conversation kind of got me thinking, like, we spend a lot of time trying to avoid negative consequences and in the future. And so yeah, absolutely. So Jamie says, you got that right. Yeah. So we spend a lot of time trying to avoid negative consequences in the future. And I thought back, and something that person said in the conversation was, hey, I agree with learning wisdom. Wisdom is really important, and it's important for the older people to teach the younger. And I said, yeah, that's true. So I thought about, hey, it's November. People are getting ready to do this Thanksgiving and family gatherings and being around each other. What's something that we would say to our younger selves? What would I say to my younger self to avoid negative consequences, right? And so I put this out on Facebook, and I got really good comments that I'm going to share with you. So I got, I think 20 people gave advice to their younger selves. So some of this is really good. Be comfortable being yourself, no matter what others think about you. Jamie says, run. That's what you would tell your younger self. It's all for a purpose. It's all for a purpose. But Charmaine says, be comfortable being yourself, no matter what others think or feel about you. Naima says, everything will be okay. Just trust God. He'll never fail you. Michelle Ray says, you will grow into your hair and find your birth family. Thought that was cute. sure there's a hair story in there. Erin says, don't second guess yourself. Melanie says, you are not going crazy. Keep knocking down doors. Don't stop looking for healing. Yes, even family can play favorites and not address or cover up the real problem. Focus on healing and inward rather than an outward solution. It's very good. Very good stuff. I have a new confidence, Jamie says, in God, I will be good. Very good. That's wonderful. Gail says, the person you choose to marry will by far be one of the most important decisions you will ever make. Madison says, you're going to find healing. You won't feel sick forever. Don't let people steal your power. David says, stop caring about what other people think. It's your life. Live it how you want. Taurus, I agree with that 100%. Taurus says, no one, or Lydia says, no one is judging as harshly as you think, so relax. You don't need everyone to be your friend. Save your money so you can buy a house by 27. That was a goal of hers. Carrion says, at the first sign of abuse, leave. You're only teaching them what they can get away with. This is wisdom. This is wisdom. And it's true. You're only teaching them what they can get away with. You're teaching other people how to treat you when you enable abuse. That is the truth. Belle says, loving yourself is not what you've been taught. Don't practice broken teaching or you'll be broken also. Open up to what love truly means. Learn from the one who is love. Then let go of broken coping mechanisms and forgive that lost little girl who knew no other way. This is beautiful. This is beautiful wisdom. I just wonder, we use, especially when I say your younger self, so everyone imagine that differently as a young child or a young teenager or a young adult, however, whatever that meant to them. But I imagine if we were kids or young adults or teenagers hearing these messages, would we even understand what they meant? Okay, this is very mature language. Would a young person remember, even understand that? Joan says, you are valuable. You do not need to be validated by those who have not validated themselves. And she says, kaboom. That was awesome. You are not alone. God is with you. Carrie says, not to give a blank about what anyone else thinks. It's none of our business. This is also very good. Serenity says, be still and wait and have patience. It will all make sense and come together. Marilyn says, you are enough. You shouldn't have to convince someone that claims they love you to stay and appreciate your love and value. Love is an action word. That's another good thing. It's another good, and it reminds me, I'll read this last one, I'll tell the story. Victoria says, you are who you are and you are more than enough. And so this kind of reminds me, wait, that's funny. You can't make other people happy. You're not pizza. Because pizza makes people happy. This reminds me of something that my mom had said to me when I was maybe 8 or 10. And I don't remember the setup for this. So I remember sitting at the dinner table and I don't know what I said. I promise. I don't know what I said to start this, but my mom was really upset. So I must have said something horrible because she's like, go on the floor, go under the table and pick up your self-esteem. This is what she said to me. And I looked at her like, that doesn't make sense. and she just got more forceful. You go right now. You go on the floor and you pick up your self-esteem. Go right now. So I was sitting in the chair and I got up out of the chair and I went to the floor, kind of crying because I didn't know how to pick up my self-esteem off the floor. And kind of got back in the chair and just kind of looked at her. And she just, it's the truth. And then she went on and just said some more stuff. I don't remember the other stuff that she said. This was years and years ago. She's been passed on for many years now. So I don't remember what set that up. And I don't remember her preaching afterwards, but I remember her demanding that I go pick up my self-esteem. And something that Marilyn had said kind of made me think about that. Telling her younger self, you are enough. You shouldn't have to convince someone that claims they love you to stay and appreciate your love and value. Love's an action word. I don't know that I got any more self-esteem from my mother doing that with me. Um, I think she was trying her best, and that's what parents do. We try our best. And you've heard that phrase, youth is wasted on the young, because we think about, like, man, how much capacity would we have to understand these things? These are simple truths that these adults are trying to tell their childhood selves or young adult selves. They're simple truths. You are enough. It doesn't matter what other people think, right? And we've heard those words. How come they don't penetrate? How come everyone has to kind of face this eventually for themselves? Everyone has to learn whether or not other people's opinions matter. And I honestly believe that there's something internal for us. Otherwise, we wouldn't all have to deal with it, right? Somehow that matters to us on a base level, other people's opinions. So I'm just curious about how that whole thing works. And so I wanted to read some of those things, because you hear a theme, right? You hear a theme of um, I love you. Basically, you hear these adults telling their younger persons that they love them, and you are enough, and you don't have to care about what other people are thinking. And because these are the faulty thoughts that they attribute to maybe some harder times when they grew up, or some bad decisions they made, right? Okay, so the question is, if that's what we can say to our younger selves, what would our older selves say to us? Huh, I like that. I got you. I will protect you. So I want to give you just a tiny exercise. And I don't normally do this on lives because I can't see you and hear you. The best I can do is the chat. But I'd like to give you an exercise. And you can do this, in full length later, or you can start doing things on the chat now. What would your future self, and you can go as far future as you want. You can go 10 years, 20 years. I'd say at least 10 years. Give yourself a good buffer, right? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years in the future, your heavenly self or your afterlife self, like, how you can go as far as you want. That's all I'm saying. Go as far up as you want. What would you say to your current self? Okay. So what this exercise does, in the same way, thinking about what my current self would say to my younger self, is I'm looking back and saying, these are the problems I see in younger self that created problems later. Okay, so now this is what we can control, guys. Mm-hmm. And there is a time and space and a purpose for going back and kind of nurturing that younger self. Even though time has passed, the part of us that reasons as a younger person is still in there. And so nurturing that person, especially a person who's lived through trauma, is very important. Okay. So we're going to kind of step outside of us now. And what would you say to yourself in the present from the future? Would you look back at this season? Look at where you live. Look at who's in your house. Look at the job you have. Look at the money in your bank account. Look at all of those things. What would you say to today's version of you? I'm proud of you. You're a fighter. You're a champion. You're amazing. You're good enough. What would you say? Write it down. You can put it in the chat right now. And then, of course, you can go back and look at your chat later, if you're on the phone or something. Or if you have a notepad, write it down. And I'd love to share with me too, because I want to see. Jamie says, you are daughter of the Most High King. You do not need to please anyone, only the Heavenly Father. That's beautiful. And as we are preparing to see people that we're related to, or people that we are friends with, and people we have the opportunity to fight with, because that's how that happens. It starts with really like what's important right now? You know, what's important right now? Now, out of all of those comments I read you, no one looked at their younger self and said, get it together. Right? Nobody said, hey, you're not doing good enough in school. No one said, hey, you're not working fast enough. Hey, you need to keep up with those other people. They're doing better than you. No one said, watch more TV or scroll some more or you're not getting enough screen time. No one said any of those things. There wasn't a lack of pleasure seeking even. It was very soul. It was straight to the soul, to the mind, will, and emotions. It was instructions that of encouragement and instructions of self preservation also, things about abuse and love and trying to avoid deep pain. Okay, so looking at yourself today, what would you say to yourself that it's not hey, you got a problem? Okay, you're looking at, all right, I gotta go to Aunt so and so's house. Man, Aunt so and so gets on my nerves. I wish she wouldn't nitpick at me all the time. Like, come out of that, like look at it like a scene. Okay, like lift up out of the roof and look down at yourself and at those situations. And what would you say? Take a breath. It's gonna be all right. Be glad you have an Aunt so and so to go be around. Be glad that you have your family members who are yet alive to celebrate with, right? We've been through a rough couple of years as a people. We've been through a rough couple of years, and there's a lot of folks that are just not here anymore. It's really important to value the time that we have. It's really important to value the people that we have, whether that's a lot of people or a little bit. It's really important. And so I just want to encourage you to do that. I'm not going to be on long today. And I think you added stuff, Jamie. It's not your fault. It never was. You are so smart, wise. What can I learn from these people? Create a bubble, breathe, call Dallas. Is that what you tell yourself? Ha ha. That's funny. That's funny. I like it. So I just encourage you to write a letter from your future self to your current self and put it somewhere where you're going to see it. I know you've heard that a bunch of times. You might not have done it, but I know you've heard it a bunch of times. What I recommend, put it somewhere you're going to see, even if that's in your phone, because I know a lot of things are in your phone. Read it to yourself, maybe in the morning, or maybe when you're feeling stressed, maybe when you're making holiday plans. Pull that sucker out and look at what's important. Look at what's important right now. You are important. The people you love, the people you get to spend time with, and cultivating gratefulness. It's really important. You're alive today, and there's a lot of people who aren't. If you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube or some other social media platform, you have the technology to watch something on a social media platform. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. There's lots of people who don't. You're incredibly blessed. You are already incredibly blessed. It does not matter what has happened in the past or what's going to happen tomorrow. You're alive today. I mean, I can take almost for granted that you've eaten. There's electricity. There's so much to be thankful for, and cultivating a heart of gratefulness is really the first step towards satisfaction. Satisfaction is what we're looking for when we go to these gatherings, and satisfaction is what we're looking for even when we go to vices, or when we sleep too much, or when we eat too much, or when we sex too much, or when we do drugs, or when we do other things. We're looking for rest. We're looking for satisfaction. And gratefulness is the beginning of that satisfaction. So I want to encourage you in that so you can write your letters. I also want to share, if you have not read the book, I Choose Life, I want to share a short testimony with you, and I'm going to come back on the other side of that in just a second.
Hi, my name is Audrey. I finished reading this book, I Choose Life by Dallas Cohen, and I guarantee if you start this book, you will not be able to put it down. From start to finish, it's a real thriller, but it's a life story and it's true. It's a true story about Dallas's life and how she turned something that the devil meant for evil into something absolutely beautiful. And that took the Lord. You will be thrilled to read this book. You can get this book for $25, cash, check, or credit card. And again, buy the book. It's incredible. You won't regret it.
Okay, that was Audrey, who read the book, I think, in a couple days. I don't think it was a week, it was very quick. But she really enjoyed it. So if you would like, if you know anyone who's been through trauma, abuse, or betrayal, they need this book and you should share it with them. It's not only my story, but it's a way out and a way through, not just a way out of present circumstances. So many times we've lived through that part. God has graced us and we've survived. That's only the first step. If we don't want to just be survivors, if we want to be thrivers, if we don't want to be in that cycle of coping in crisis for the rest of our days, if you want to do something different, you have to do something different. And it starts with investing in yourself. So I just want to encourage you to get the book, I Choose Life. You can get that at thereboundcoach.com/book. If you've already purchased it, read it. No, it's not Audible yet. Is it Audible yet? Not yet. Not yet. You actually have to read it. Read it. And share with me. I'd love to see your letters if you're watching this now or on the replay and you write your letter to yourself. Share it. I'd love to share you to share that with me. You can reach me, of course, at thereboundcoach.com. You can also, I'm going to take this one out so it's not confusing. thereboundcoach.com. You can also contact me over social media. My inbox is open, The Rebound Coach. We can also set up a time just to chat and see if a coaching relationship would be beneficial for you right now. I help women who have lived through betrayal, trauma, and abuse reclaim territory in a relationship with themselves. If this message ministered to you, if this was something that resonated for you, I am excited to walk alongside you in your journey to choose life, in your relationship with God, with yourself, with a mate, with your children or family members, which is what we're focusing on this month, with money, with work, with your dreams. You can get out of that coping and crisis cycle. You can get out of that cycle of death or neglect or just going along with the flow. There's so much more out of life that you can have, and it doesn't happen by accident, and you don't have to do this alone. I am more than happy to walk alongside with you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for your comments. I can't wait to see your messages. I can't wait to see your letters to yourself. Post them up in your house or put them on your phone. Read them to yourselves. You can also, thanks for the shout out. You can also read it. Now, I've done this too, because a lot of times if I have something written, I might look at it, but eventually it kind of fades into the background and I don't read it anymore. You could read it out loud on your phone and play it for yourself, the way you listen to all other media. Just play your voice, encouraging yourself. What a beautiful gift you can give to yourself. And you can give the same to others. And the same message, the same stuff you would have given, you would have told yourself, speak those words or write those words for a young person in your life. If you're kids, grandkids, niece, nephews, kids at school, kids in your church, speak life into someone. You'd be amazed what that does for you. You'd be absolutely amazed at what that does for you. Speak life into somebody. So I just want to encourage you for that. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll talk next week more about family matters and nourishing a heart of gratitude. Until next time, choose life.